You do realize that that was the excuse that Dems used to keep their slaves. Okay, I keep getting similar comments to this, so let's talk about it. And I've made a video explaining the first part so many times, but let's do a refresher. These states here are the Confederate States of America. Do you notice anything about them? Anything in particular? Every one of these states are very Republican states today. But how did they get to be that way? How did those Republicans get beaten down by all those Democrats? Or is it possible, just maybe possible, that the conservatives have not always been Republican? And the Democrats have not always been the liberals. Now, do you see these states up here in blue? They were the ones who beat down the Confederates. They were known as the liberals of the time. They were liberal Republicans, and these were conservative Democrats. And that's why when you say to these people, we're going to get rid of the Confederate flag, we're going to get rid of those Confederate statues, they say, no, you're not, because that's our heritage. It's not the Democrats that are saying that. It's the Republicans. So, whenever somebody accuses Democrats of being the slave owners, it just shows infinite stupidity. And the thing about this is it's not really that hard to understand if you just use the basic amount of critical thinking, which I know you guys don't have at all. Now, let's compare that to the modern day situation where the conservatives are trying to get the people out of the country. Now, our argument is that these people have lives here. They have families here. They have built a life here. These are people who want to stay in this country. They are not kept in these jobs by threat of harm. They could walk away from them at any point. They are in no way slaves. They get paid for their work. Not enough, but they get paid. And they get to go home at the end of the day and spend time with their families. They are not under any threat of their babies taken away from them and sold to somebody else as a worker. Instead, the opposite is true. They are working their asses off to make sure that their children have a better life than they have right now. That used to be called the American dream in this country, but that no longer really exists. So when people who seem like they only have about 2 brain cells in their head and a concussion try and tell me that this is what Dems used to do, it tells me 2 things about them. Their only concept of history is propaganda, and the second thing is that they do not care at all about any human suffering throughout history. But as long as they feel like that they're on the winning team, that's all they really care about. But here's another fun fact about these people. When war finally broke out over all this, it wasn't the rich landowners that ended up going to war and dying. It was mostly the poor people that were sucking up to these rich landowners, thinking that they were going to get theirs someday. All they have to do is just put in the work. And the whole time the rich landowners were cheering them on, telling them, yeah, look at you go, you're going to be one of us one day. But instead, they got to die in a losing war for a country that only survived for 5 years. And their descendants have to live with the facts that they fought a war to try and keep people as property. And that's why these people today do not want history taught in schools. And you can call them the Democrats if you want to, because they were the Democrats of the day, sure, but they aren't the Democrats of modern day. And another thing, most of us on the left hold no allegiance to the Democratic Party. If another party came along that was way more progressive and had a shot, we would probably be jumping on the bandwagon there. Do you want to know why? Because we're not cultists. There is not a single politician on the left that we would ever make into a cult leader. If there is any one thing that I could ever make MAGA understand, it's that we are not the same.